All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Northern Now, the digital event series for alumni and friends, presented by NMU Alumni Relations. My name is Kylie Bunting, and I am the Director of Alumni and Foundation Communications here at NMU. And I'm so glad that you have joined us for tonight's panel discussion. We are excited to continue the series and excited to celebrate Black History Month. But first, I just want to go over a couple of logistics. So while we are unable to see or hear you in this webinar format, we still want to hear from you. So we'll be monitoring the Q&A section. So if you have any questions or comments for our panelists, please share them there. You can also use the chat function at the bottom of your screen to chat with fellow Wildcats tuning in. Just note that in the chat function in the window, there's a drop-down menu to send chats to hosts and panelists or to everyone. This is automatically defaulted to hosts and panelists, so make sure you change that to everyone as well so you can chat with others who are tuning in. Our next Northern Now will be in March, celebrating Women's History Month with a panel of alumni, so stay tuned for a secure date and registration information that will be coming out in the next week or so. In April, we will also be hosting a special digital event with NMU's new head football coach, Shane Richardson, and that one will be moderated by Steve Mariucci, and the event will be, and we're also excited to celebrate a couple of alumni days at some spring training games on March 26th. First, you can join your fellow Wildcats at the Tigers versus Tampa Bay Rays game in Lakeland, Florida, or alumni in Phoenix, Arizona can cheer on the Brewers versus Diamondbacks spring training game. And also save the date, Homecoming 2023 takes place Friday, September 15th through Saturday, September 16th. So we hope you're able to come and join us on campus for that. I also want to take a moment to just briefly mention Wildcats Connect, which is a platform for alumni and friends, alumni and students to get and ask and offer advice. It's a really great way to help out other NMU students to stay connected to the university and to get in touch with fellow alumni. You can learn more about that on our website as well. And don't forget to follow us on social media. We share most things that we have going on there first. So if you have any questions or just want to see what's going on, feel free to keep in touch with us. So now I'm excited to introduce our moderator for tonight's event, Marlenasia Rosser. Marlenasia is NMU's Black Student Union President and a fourth-year student who is studying hospitality and tourism management. She has a passion for traveling and organizing and planning events. While Black Student Union is her main focus, she's also part of the Special Events Committee and the Presidential Learning Network. Welcome, Marlenasia. Thanks for being here with us. Oh, sorry, Marlenasia, we cannot hear you.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Thank you, everyone, for having me here tonight. I'm so excited to be here. I would like to introduce tonight's panelists, and then just make note of please use the Q&A function throughout the entire night, and we'll keep an eye out. So first, I'd like to introduce Victor Fairley, a 2012 Community Health and Education graduate. Victor is currently a field training deputy and community outreach and recruitment coordinator at Kent County Sheriff's Department. Welcome, Victor. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Victor Fairley, by the way. I reside in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I've been at the Kent County Sheriff's Department for 70 years. I'm in charge of training, community outreach events, and so forth. I work in the facilities, the correctional facility as well. So I have a wife, I'm married, 2 daughters, and besides work, I'm just taking care of my kids. So it's pretty much different environment from college now. So that's me in a nutshell, just family man and working. So.
Sounds great. So next, I'd like to welcome Taylor Johnson, a 2014 Public Relations graduate. Taylor is currently a real estate agent, Keller Williams Realty, specializing in listing homes for sale and first-time home buyers. Additionally, Taylor is a certified master gardener and certified housing counselor. Welcome, Taylor. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi and welcome. Thank you so much for the introduction. And hi, everyone. You shared a great bit about me. I've been a licensed realtor since 2017, and it's a very rewarding job. I also enjoy hobby-wise, just like to cook and spend time with my son, who is 16 months. So that makes up a lot of my time. But yeah, overall, I just like to enjoy myself. I like to be outdoors when possible. But again, a big part of my life revolves around my kid. And like I said, I do like cooking.
Sounds wonderful. Next, I would like to introduce Chris Warner, a 2009 social work graduate and juvenile probation officer in Kent County, Michigan. Additionally, Chris is in the program coordinator of the Chosen Academy, which aims to bring affordable basketball skill training and mental health counseling to players in Grand Rapids area. Welcome, Chris. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate the invite to the platform. Like you mentioned, my name is Chris Warner. I reside in Grand Rapids, Michigan, along with Vic. I also work as a probation officer during the day for Kent County, which is a local county government here. Additionally, I coach basketball local high school here, Northview High School, JV girls, and I also have my own basketball training company, which is 1-5 Basketball Amplified. And I've also collaborated with the Chosen Academy, along with a good buddy of mine, Wes Trammell, Nikki Trammell, and Josh Robertson, to bring affordable basketball training. Like you said, we've also combined the element of mental health, which we've seen to be a big issue amongst teens and student athletes. So along with that, my wife and two daughters, my wife Jessica Warner, my two daughters Sydney and Amelia. I reside with them, obviously, and a lot of my time is spent with them. So that's me in a nutshell as well. So thank you.
Marla, I think you might be muted.
Okay. So last but not least, I'd like to introduce Bree, a 2022 marketing graduate and current content creator and account coordinator for Buzz Advertising Agency. Welcome, Bree. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi everybody. Thanks so much for having me. Like Marla said, I work for an advertising agency that specializes in high-end jewelry, but more in the sector of family-owned businesses. I am actually still in Marquette. I just graduated a little under a year ago. So I'm still kind of carving out my story, but like everybody else on the panel here, I was in BSU. Throughout my time at Northern, and that opened a lot of opportunities for me. Met a lot of really awesome people, and I'm pretty ecstatic that I get to continue those relationships as I stay in Marquette. So thank you guys for having me.
Great. So I just want to extend one last thank you and welcome to everyone for joining us. We're going to go ahead and jump into some questions that we have prepared. And as a reminder for everyone to feel free to just drop your comments and questions in the chat. We'll keep an eye on it throughout the night. So the first question I actually have is, what did you guys do when you were here at Northern, a part of BSU?
Okay, I'll go first since it's fresh in my memory. So when I was at NMU, I was a part of BSU and PRSSA, which is a pre-professional organization. And it specializes in public relations. But like I mentioned, there are some relationships that I formed while I was here that I was really happy to continue. And one of those was being on the board for the Women's Center here. It's a cause really near and dear to my heart. And when I first applied for the board, they were like, I don't know, we kind of want somebody that's going to stick around. And I was like, I'll try my best. So that is still going. And then also a part of Big Brothers Big Sisters, which is a really, really, really awesome program that I'm so thankful to be a part of. And I actually found my match through BSU. They had sent us an email looking for somebody that looked a little bit like the little that was signing up for, and I jumped at the opportunity, and I'm so happy that I could just stay in Marquette and be a part of her life. So those are some of the main things that I was a part of.
That's so sweet. Anyone else?
Sure, I'll also add to it. I too was a member of BSU. I actually was a co-president towards my last year there at the university. So it was just different to take on a leadership role because I remember like as if it was yesterday, the first time I came onto campus, the very first BSU meeting I attended, who the president was and some of the other committee members at that time. And I mean, it was a very impactful experience. It definitely allowed a lot of connectivity between just my peers from all different like stages and ages, so to speak, at that time in my life coming in again as a freshman. So to leave my last year or so on campus, being in a leadership role and being able to facilitate that type of role and leadership, it was very timeless and priceless. It wasn't something that I took for granted. And some of the people that I was in that community with, we're still really good friends from afar, still keeping up with each other on social media and different things like that. So you really will be surprised with how many people you connect with and those lifelong relationships that you build. So I would definitely say like my time at NMU was well spent being a part of BSU and other student organizations, but one that I think really ties into like the purpose and why we're here today. I can't help but to put that one more on a pedestal. So
Love it. So follow-up question, or second question, I should say, is how do you feel like your education at NMU prepared you for your career?
I'll take this one. I say teamwork. Most majority of my projects, schoolwork, has been group projects, and the line of work I do now, I rely on my partner. So just being with somebody, learning those different ways how to communicate effectively and coming to an understanding or a common ground is very beneficial and paramount in my career now. So can't thank my professors at NMU for giving me all those group assignments and, meeting with people at different times of the day to get stuff done. So it's very paramount in my career now. So I will say that is top.
Absolutely. I don't know. I think I hate group work now, but in the future, I know it'll be good for me.
I can jump in as well and say so. I graduated in public relations as well, in a German minor, and so it was. What's been crazy is I actually have met a German client and helped him buy his first property in 2018. And I mean, even though like not obviously, but my German isn't great still to this day. But it was just fun to just kind of connect with him, and it made just that relationship more relatable between the two of us because he never thought that wasn't like him coming into the relationship of him wanting to buy a house that was going to be something that we would connect on, but that just added some bit of hey, I know you're coming in from another country. I know what that's like. I've actually studied abroad in your country before. And so, we just have more to talk about outside of just the home buying process and different things like that. And like to this day, we still talk to people. I mean, we still talk to each other. He actually bought a second property with me just last year. So, I mean, that's a longstanding relationship there. And then like with the public relations side of things, I mean, being a real estate agent, it is in some fashion, you're still doing, written copy, online marketing, you're still doing all of these different things that I would say public relations did prepare me for. Now, public relations in itself does have like this element where it's a little bit more behind the scenes, and real estate is not quite like that. But the marketing piece of it all was really great. Researching is really great because you definitely want to come as well informed about different neighborhoods, areas, properties that your clients are interested in purchasing, and different things like that. So you cannot get around from like what a college education, regardless of what you went to studies for and what you're doing now in your profession. Like it definitely laid a good foundation. There's actually research that shows that agents who did graduate from college and pursue in the field do better than those who may not have went that way because it is a trade, So yeah, those are some things that I definitely can say I took away from being at my education at NMU and how that's showing up for me in my current life and career.
Beautiful.
Can I jump in on that one as well?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. So as a social work graduate, I felt like it really prepared me for the field I'm in now, just most importantly, probably relationship piece, relating to people, just building relationships with the people that my clients that I work with, and families, most importantly. And the biggest thing I think I took away from one of my professors was the empathy piece. Just making sure you are kind of taking away every type of maybe bias or anything, or any preconceived notions that you're coming in contact when you do come in contact with families, and just making sure you're coming in with open mind so that you can treat them as people first and foremost, and not just a file or paper or things that you read about the family before meeting with them. So biggest thing I would say is empathy, making sure you're relational, and kind of building that relationship so that you can kind of put in whatever goals you have for them together. So thank you.
Of course, I like that. You guys all have definitely interesting stories. So that brings me to my next question is, would you say that you're currently doing what you plan to do while you're at NMU? Because I know a lot of things can change from like the day you step foot on campus to graduating to where you're at in your future.
I guess I'll jump in quick. I did not, I wasn't really sure. I knew coming into NMU, I was going to be in the social work field. Um, I was primarily came to Northern as a student athlete, so I wasn't part of the Black Student Union, but I did know a lot of the people in there. And, you know, a lot of my time got consumed with basketball and training and social work. But coming in, I kind of had my mind around being like a counselor. So just graduating and moving here to Grand Rapids, the opportunity to work as a probation officer came to me, and I think it just for me felt like it hit a lot of the things that I wanted to do. It kind of just came out of left field, and not unexpectedly felt like it could really fit some of my strong suits. So it did kind of come out of nowhere, like I said, but I was happy for the opportunity that when it came up. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, Taylor. I was just going to say, I'm actually doing exactly what I thought I was going to be doing since I was in the 3rd grade. I was a really weird kid. And if you ask my grandma what I asked for in 3rd grade for Christmas was a 3-piece suit. That's all I wanted. I wanted a matching like blazer and pants. And I kind of carried that throughout my entire college career and into my professional career. So I'm ecstatic that I can continue what I've always dreamed about doing. I'm very excited that I'm doing something a little bit more like my taste with jewelry, because I really thought I was going to get stuck with something like selling doors or something like that. So doing something a little bit more fun and something that excites me. So
Okay, that's kind of cute. I always liked your outfits. I was like, ooh, Bree has some cute outfits. I have to step up my game.
I just wanted to just add my little comment to it all as well. My path to real estate was not directly related to my my studies at NMU. I think there are a lot of transferable skills and things like that that I'm using from university and what I learned and how that's showing up in my current career. But I am blessed to say that prior to getting to real estate, I did work in different positions that were directly related. I had opportunity to work at an internship with Bombardier Transportation when I was studying abroad in Berlin. And so that was really cool because I was in internal communications at that point. So we were putting together just different communications that go out to the employees and staffs that have a lot of element of the public relations and the marketing aspects. And then once I came back from studying abroad, I worked for a nonprofit. And those were 2 things that I definitely wanted to do because I was always up in the air as far as like, oh, do I want to do like international public relations or do I want to do for a nonprofit? And so I definitely had that opportunity to do both. And then just eventually, and the thought of becoming a real estate agent definitely came to mind when I was actually in one of my public relations class, but I saw it being something I would do much later on down the line. I didn't know any real estate agents. I didn't know too much about the profession or how to get into it. But then when I came back from studying abroad, I said, well, now it seems like if I am going to do it, why not just go ahead and just learn a little bit. And before I knew it, I was taking my class, getting licensed, and actually still maintaining my communications job at the nonprofit until eventually I did leave and go full time as a real estate agent. So I don't think all the time our paths are all the time like clear cut and direct. Sometimes, you just are able to extract what you need to out of what you learned in university and apply it to whatever your new career passion or field is. And I'm one of those people.
You did it very well. I like it. So we actually have a couple of questions from the audience. And the first one is from Dennis, and it says, when it's all said and done, what type of legacy do you wish you would have left behind for others to follow in your footsteps?
I'm sorry, can you read the question one more time? Is it meaning like what you wish you would have done or what you wish to pass on?
Mm, what you wish you would have done? I don't know. Dennis, if you'd like to elaborate, we'd love that. What you wish to pass on.
Okay. So I guess one thing I learned in my senior year at Northern was the more if you want it, go get it attitude. I spent a lot of my time in my freshman and sophomore year just kind of taking it all in and wondering how the people around me were getting all of these crazy cool opportunities. And I'm sitting there in the same rooms, just kind of like taking it all in. But when it came down to it, my junior and senior year, when I knew I really needed to put in the work and get to where I wanted to be, I wasn't afraid to ask and I wasn't afraid to propose ideas. And just if something I thought I could achieve wasn't right in front of me, I would go find the person that could help me get there. So that would be my advice to anybody anywhere. Like if you want to go get it, because chances are you're the only one asking for it. There's a lot of people that'll sit there and wait. And sometimes you don't have time for that. So
All right, so that was a wonderful answer. And we have a question from the previous president, Demar. Hey, Demar. And it says, is this your first alumni gathering or event that you've been a part of?
I'll jump in and say yes.
Yeah, I think for all of us, maybe.
Yeah, this is my first one as well.
Yeah. Oh, are you guys excited? You guys having fun?
Yeah, I was definitely nervous accepting it. I was like, I don't know, but what to expect or, things like that. But I knew the reason and the purpose for it was so important to me because, again, being in a part of the BSU and then hold a leadership position, I understood like how important having these types of events where we used to like try to do at least one event a week for the month of Black History. And it just varied as far as what that looked like. So to be able to pour back into it, if this is the one and maybe like not maybe, but this is to be the one and only event that I do, I am very grateful to be a part of this one.
Yeah. Okay. Y'all touching my heart. So actually, Taylor, there's a question in here for you, and I think that kind of relates to biggest takeaways. Ooh, now I'm reading their question. Sorry, BSU just said something, and I was like, okay. So in 2012, this is from Brianna, and it says, in 2012 summer, you were her tour guide for campus. Did participating in helping students on campus mold or shape you in your current job as a realtor?
I honestly kind of geeked out that they said, because I don't mention it a lot, but I was a part of the student orientation staff, and I'm sure that that's what she's referring to. So I kind of geeked out on that. But what was the question? She said, how did that shape?
How did that shape you or mold you in your current job as a realtor?
Surprisingly enough, I literally thought about this, and I think that what it did was, one thing was, it reminded me how important names are, because we would meet students on, it was like a 8-week or something. I can't remember the exact timeline and length that we would be hosting this program, right? But we would meet kids, or not kids, but students in 3-day like 3-day time spans. And it was just so important to me that any person that was a part of my group, I knew their name. So I think that that was something that it made it to where I wasn't like, oh, I'm bad with names and stuff like this. Like, I actually actively tried to remember people's name, and everything else. I still messed up a lot sometimes on pronunciations, but the effort is there. And I think that that's something that a lot of people appreciate. And also too, it prepared me to be able to present, because like sometimes some information would just be like, we can practice it, but to have to speak it, articulate it, me ensure that you're expressing it in a way that people understood, it made me like, it's just so many different things about that experience. I'm now at a place where I receive what all I got from that and how I see it showing up in my life now. So that's a really great question, because being a part of the student orientation staff, I think did a lot for me than I thought it ever would, and something that I can appreciate now because of the skills that I learned. It was definitely a lot of fine tuning that happened there that I think makes what I do now a little bit easier, and talking to people, being more personable with people, and that empathy aspect, because some people haven't bought a home before or sold a house before or whatever that looks like. So it's just like a level of patience that's necessary for people who are new to something that you've done, in that example, week after week practically, but we were meeting new students every other day. So so it was a really good experience.
That's great. So, Bree, I was looking at the comments, and so I actually wanted you to answer the question as well, since you did it.
Okay, let me read the question one more time. Sorry. I was just listening to Taylor. I was like,
Yeah, hold
no
on, let me
way.
pull it back up. So how has it shaped or molded you for your current job as working for BuzzFeed as advertisement? Jesus.
Yeah, so I think I'll echo a lot of what Taylor said, especially the being able to present well, and also being able to find something to connect with people on. I find that, so I wasn't quite as good as getting names. We did 3 tours a day and I tried my best. But I could usually find at least one thing with each one of our tour families that we could connect on. And I find, like Taylor said, that goes a really long way. I always thought it was so fun when you would see like your little tour kiddos out in like the public. You would see them at like a hockey game where their family was like walking downtown, and I would always be able to remember them by those little conversations. And then Taylor, I don't know if you feel like this, but seeing them on campus the next year and them remembering you, your heart just like
Yeah.
explodes. So like whenever we're pitching to new clients or meeting new people, I use the same set of skills to just kind of get to know them a little bit better, and then get to the bottom of like what's truly important to them. Because as you know, like finding out what's important to them in a college, like not every college was going to be right for everybody, and you really have to ask them the right questions and get to know them in such a short amount of time in order for you to be valuable to them. So those are definitely skills that I'll use for the rest of my life.
Absolutely, yes. You guys are hitting it right on the nail. So we have they're coming in. So this question's for Chris. And the question is, based on the work that you're doing with basketball, are you familiar with the former NMU basketball player, Mylan Murphy, and what's he been doing regarding community outreach with basketball? And that question comes from Cindy Pavlon.
Yeah, first of all, hi, Cindy. So Mylan Murphy was a teammate of mine at Northern. So I'm very familiar with his work. We keep in contact here. He's built his own brand. It started off with motivational messages. He's at this point outreaching to a lot of youth and just sending messages of positivity to build up youth and anyone in general. He's doing a lot of work with, he's now doing a lot of social media stuff with DIY stuff. Has gone viral a lot. He's doing a lot of collaboration stuff with, I believe, NBA, Players Association, NFL, and just building his brand that way. But he's always been someone of a entrepreneurial spirit, even from the time that we were playing. He always thought outside the box. So I'm not very surprised with what the stuff that he's doing now, and definitely just wish him best for the future going forward. So.
Okay, great answer. Okay, my screen just like okay. So BSU actually has a question in here, and they're wondering what is your biggest takeaways from attending a PWI like NMU, and how did you personally manage?
So for me, being at a PWI brings a lot of opportunities, is what I would call them. And whether or not you take those opportunities is kind of like a personal decision. I found myself being an educator and a teacher in a way. I think a lot of times when you go to PWI and there's like, so obviously we went to college during a lot of unrest, if you will, and there were a lot of questions and worries and concerns, and a lot of times the people in charge would kind of turn to us to see what we wanted to do about it. And I always felt super excited at that opportunity, but then some of my peers wouldn't be so excited. And I realized that's because not everybody wants to be an educator. Not everybody wants to be a spokesperson, and that's totally fine. But I found that really exciting. And whenever we got to meet with the president or form our committees or be a part of the hiring process, I thought that was really awesome. And I learned a lot of valuable skills in that regard. But I also learned a lot about how it's okay not to always speak on everything, because that wasn't my primary job. My primary job was to be a student. So I found that a little bit difficult sometimes, managing and balancing those roles. But in the end, I'm super thankful for all those opportunities.
Okay, so I have a question from Katie Corby. Hi, Katie. What do you think the most important thing about or for students to know as they graduate and step into their first career related job?
I'll take this one. Just realizing there's fun in learning. There's definitely fun in learning. Being inclusive, meeting the person that's working down the hall from you, the floor below you, a different department in your organization. Those are paramount. Just meeting people, networking with people, and just realizing that you're going to learn each and every day. So just create fun, be yourself, and be open to learn new things. And just never know who you're going to meet.
Okay, so the next question I have in here is working in corrections. Do you ever feel like there are ways to help someone but can't because the system in place is already set in stone?
You can help anyone, actually. There's, of course, there's rules and regulations on what you can and can't do, but there's help for everyone. Now we see a lot of mental health issues, and those are pretty much majority of the issues that lead to like incarceration, or there are problems. There's not enough help for it, but there is help for people, and I've seen success stories come out of like negative and bad situations. So that's the side of the job I like to see, people doing better than the way they came in.
Can I answer from a probationary standpoint?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, just from a probation standpoint, um, is there ways to help? I think my role specifically and why um, kind of continued in the role, like, and just feel the passion for it. Again, is for the youth that we meet, and so sometimes, yet in talking with them, they feel the system systemically especially with the population that I work with, is they would say targeted, and we do see that predominantly more of African American communities are targeted in certain aspects, and so I think for them seeing maybe someone that looks like them and explaining the system, trying to kind of inspire them to if they're going to fight injustices or things of that nature, and to do it in their way and do it the right way, and just make sure their voices are heard. And then lastly, how to navigate that system and working their way through it so that they can break generational cycles and be kind of a more of an inspiration to their community and their families.
Sounds great. So what's something each of you miss about Marquette? Or for Bree, what's something you miss about home?
I personally I used to go to Hot Plate. I still got a couple items from there, but like when my mom would come up and visit me, we would maybe go to Hot Plate, paint something, or I would paint something for a friend and gift that to them. I did really like our proximity to Lake Superior. I thought that was always a really cool feature. I remember the first time I came up for my own weekend, it might have been Wildcat weekend, when I was still in high school, deciding on which university to go to. And they were like, there's this certain point on campus, if you stand right here, you can see Lake Superior right there. And that was always really cool to me. So those are definitely some things that I know that I do miss about Marquette. I was actually reading an article, and Marquette is like not only a college town, but it's also a great place for retirement too. So people get like, oh, it's so much snow up there, but still people go up there and just choose to live out the rest of their days. So I guess it's doing some great things.
I guess y'all don't miss Marquette, huh?
I miss summer.
I need to stay here for summer. But so this one's a personal question for Taylor from Cindy. She says, as your LF L hold on. Acronyms too hard. SLFP mentor, I remember how goal-oriented you were when we first met and how you had every hard deadline for yourself related to those goals. But over the years, you had to adjust to the fact that life doesn't work exactly that way as planned. What would you tell students about goal setting?
To be flexible, I definitely think college still has, I thought, or still kind of views some high level of control. Like what I remember, I know exactly what Cindy's referring to. Like I knew all the classes I would take, which semester I would take them in. Like sometimes I miss having that level of control as to what I felt like the future was going to bring and what I knew I could expect. Cause I felt like everything planned out to the T in the way that I wanted it to. There were some things that popped up, like different organizations and programs that are opportunities that were like, presented to me that I took advantage of that wasn't on that plan. But in terms of like my courses and when I expected to graduate, like that type of stuff is definitely mapped out. And then after graduate, I will say for me personally, that was a very hard adjustment because things didn't feel as clear and as mapped out, and I could just write this out and attain this goal. So that looks different for me now. Now it's like a mix of what are my career goals as well as some of my own passion, things and pursuits that I want to take care of and do. And now I recognize that some of those things just take a little bit of time. These aren't, you can just put it down and complete them on a calendar to calendar day or year. Sometimes it's like, okay, you may start this goal here and it doesn't come to its full fruition until 2 years or 3 years later. So definitely just being patient with yourself, being patient with the process and how that's going to look, and just feeling confident as long as if you're taking the right steps and doing the work that you know is necessary in that moment, the bigger picture will paint itself. So, and it may even be a lot better than you had anticipated. So just be patient with your process, but don't feel like you still can't set goals because it's not as like clean cut as it might have been while you were in university. Because it doesn't look like that now when you're outside of that.
Yeah, real world seems scary. I don't know if I want to go to that, but so another question is for Victor, and it's about your role as a community outreach deputy. How is that a unique position for someone in corrections?
It's very new. Um, it just came out a few years ago, and we kind of like asked permission from the sheriff to have it. And it's a part giving back. Usually you see road deputies or other law enforcement agencies or departments, but as far as corrections, we get to give back to the incarcerated. Like recently last year, we gave backpacks away to incarcerated um, families. So if your mom and dad was in jail and you needed a backpack for school, we're able to have it outside the facility. And I think it was a great event for those who couldn't afford backpacks because their parents were incarcerated at the time. So doing that, just having a heart beyond what you see and what you do for your job or what I do for my job was just giving back. It's just I love giving back, and if I could do it in that mindset, it's very, very, very fortunate. I'm very, very fortunate to do it. As far as the correction side of community involvement, reading books to kids in school, doing like getting people to recruit people to come work for us, just getting out there as a figure, African American, in a not African American dominant field to show representation is powerful too. So I'm very happy to have the opportunity to wear that badge and represent for my department as well as other African Americans that want to do this role, but felt some type of way about they didn't want to. So just telling them my story, how I got there, it gives them a little bit of hope that they can do it too. So I'm just blessed to have the opportunity.
Absolutely. When I was planning the event and like figuring out like different ways that I could partner with alumni services, I was like, something that I really want to push and focus on is showing individuals on campus that regardless of your path or where you come from, you're going to like thrive in the future. Like you are on this amazing walk, this amazing journey, and you are worthy of that journey. So that's definitely something that's great to hear. And I'm also from Grand Rapids, so that's something good to hear about in the community. We do have another question from Jill. Hi, Jill. If you spoke at NMU's orientation to potential students, what advice would you give them? And then how would you convince them to follow that advice?
Yeah. If I advice to incoming freshmen, you said?
Yeah,
My biggest takeaway would be to like branch out outside of your normal group settings. I think that was the biggest learning point, or once I was able to do that, just meeting in different groups of people outside of my normal, whether athletic setting or social work setting. I think it was very, very enlightening for me to just meet new people and build new relationships. So don't be afraid to kind of branch out, join different student unions or different opportunities you may have, or even if you have the opportunity, even volunteer somewhere within Marquette, just to kind of not only see any like campus life, but just see the community as well.
I guess I've spoken on quite a few like student focused panels, and my number one piece of advice is always ask questions. I'm so stubborn, right? Like when I came to college, I was like, I'm figuring it out on my own. Like everyone else is calling their mom. I was like, I'm not bothering my mom. I'm gonna figure it out. And I'm so thankful that NMU makes you go and meet with your advisor before you schedule your classes the next semester and things like that, where you have to reach out. But I found where once I got settled in, where I gained the most momentum is when I would literally just ask, whether it was the RA at the front desk or my advisor or my professors. Like there are so many different people in place to help you get to where you want to go. You just have to ask. So that was always my one piece of advice, because I know there are other people out there like me that will just put their head down and try to figure it out, but there's an easier way.
Absolutely. So, here's a question that's kind of interesting, and it's if you could wave a magic wand and provide one resource, service, or like policy for Black students at Northern, what would it be?
Um, one thing that we were really, really working on, and I know Marla, you've continued that, and the space has gotten better, was just a space, just somewhere for anybody to go. You didn't necessarily have to join BSU, you didn't have to join LSU, like you didn't have to really do anything, just having a lounge type area where you could just go and hang out and not have to worry about a thing. And I know that you've been working really, really closely with the SEEK to make that happen. And I'm super excited about that. But that was our big like dream goal while I was at the university.
One day it'll be done.
If I have to add to that, and I'm sorry if I'm a little off with the question, but like I don't know if it would be necessarily a policy, but it kind of piggybacks a little bit of what Brianna was just saying, Bree. But it was a community, so I would like want a policy where like all students had to, Black students, so to speak, needed to meet each other, know each other, whether you became really good friends or not. That was up for whatever, at least when you saw each other on campus, you were familiar with each other. Because I remember coming in, and it took me a minute before I like really started to branch out, because you are encouraged to not just gravitate, so to speak, to your own, you know. But I did come up to school. My roommate was my really great friend from high school, so we kind of took this challenge, so to speak, on together. I mean, we're from Detroit, grew up in the area, so it was definitely a totally different environment that I don't want to feel can't be talked about, because it is challenging to come from definitely Detroit. It's like the blackest city in America. So you're leaving what, even though it may not be perfect, you're still leaving this community and an environment of what feels to be your own to step off into something totally different. And if you not knowing that you're the minority, but actually being the minority in that situation, I think for a while, it just took me a little bit too long to connect with the other Black students, because we come up with this mindset that we have to branch off and meet so many other people and stuff. We go to a PWI, like that's inevitable. Like, it's our classrooms, we're probably one of the only two people there, or three or four of us, and things like that. So, you know, getting back to the heart of it all, I would definitely just say like just a place where we all know each other. So like that community is still there. And if you want to engage, you can. If you don't, that's your choice as well too. But at the end of the day, we all at least know each other, see each other, familiar with each other, and can lean on each other. Because most times I noticed while I was there, we were all coming from a lot of the same areas. You had Milwaukee, you had Chicago, and you had Detroit. And you had a couple people sprinkled about from like New York and Florida and stuff like that, but the bigger chunks of people were coming from those areas. So, you know, I would definitely want that.
I definitely would want that too. Might have to add that to my agenda here. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the reason I knew about BSU was because Sarah was on the orientation staff and she was like, "Oh, I'm a part of BSU, blah blah blah, like so cool." And I was like, "Oh, I gotta join that, like that'd be good." And so, but I feel like if I hadn't joined BSU, I wouldn't know like half of the people on campus that I know now. And so it's definitely a great opportunity. And if we had somewhere just like to gather and just say like, "Oh, hi, like my name is blah blah blah," that would be cool. So yeah, that's a great answer. Both of you guys have great answers.
If I could chime in for a second as well.
Yeah.
My experience in Northern, when I was doing a campus visit, I was like, wow, there's nobody looks like me. So I was walking through the library, and I met a guy named Terrell, and he's asked me, did I go there? And I was like, no, I'm planning on coming next semester. And he was like, here's my number, keep in contact. If you do come back, just hit me up. I'll introduce you to some people. And he was Black Student Union. He ended up being the president at one point in time as well. And I had got his number. And then when I came back, I contacted him, and I met everybody that he knew from the previous year. So just meeting that one person, I met like 20 other people. I don't know if I would have had the same opportunity if I didn't meet him, or if I did. I don't know that, but I do know I just saw him, and it's just like we just start talking because I didn't see anybody else to talk to. So that was my experience.
That's amazing. Yeah. So in the comments here, we got a question for Chris, and it's, can you talk more about the 1-5 Amplified and what are your goals of the program?
Yeah, so I started 1-5 Basketball Amplified. It was just kind of a passion of mine with basketball to kind of teach whatever I've learned throughout the years. I've had a lot of people who have poured into me in order to help me get to where I was playing basketball at Northern. I just felt, compelled to kind of, reach back and give back. One of my coaches was always kind of encouraged me, like, down the line, you have the skill set to kind of reach out and teach the game. So I think the passion really came over COVID. I was just kind of like sitting around like everyone else, and kind of just felt compelled to be like, if you're going to do anything, now is the time. You have a little more extra time at home to kind of see this through, and kind of just put my goals to work. So I started it now and just kind of combine that with the coaching that I'm doing, and just trying to reach as many youth as possible. So it's kind of just stemmed through to, or it kind of has progressed into a collaboration, like I said, with the Chosen One Academy. And ironically enough, Wes Trammell, I used to play against him when he went to Grand Valley State University. So we built a friendship and bond that way. And just being here in Grand Rapids, we've talked, for several years of what we can do together, and just combining the two companies, it's just been, really, really cool to see kind of what we've been able to do, like in a short span of time. And the goals going forward is just to reach as many student athletes as possible. We've had like 8-week sessions of just combining, like I said, the basketball training and mental health piece. The mental health piece is probably becoming a lot bigger facet of what we do, just because we're seeing the mental toll of just like not only just being a student athlete, but just life in general for youth in the community. So just trying to share knowledge, share experiences, so that if we can share something that we've been through, hopefully they don't have to go through it or go through it as hard or have as many hardships going forward. So, yeah.
For sure. I like it. So with it getting closer to 8, I do want to ask this question. And it's, what does Black History Month mean to you guys?
To me, Black History Month means a sense of pride. I think, again, being where I am now, just in life, I appreciate the purpose and point of this month more than I ever have before. It just seems, because I've been taking some time on my real estate social media, Taylor, where I've been sharing Black History facts about Black people in real estate and our long, complicated history with that. So sometimes it still feels, it's angering because some of these things still exist in today's world, and different things like that. But in terms of like the month itself, I still feel, I feel personally celebrated. I think it's a homage to my ancestors and those that came before. This world wouldn't look like it would if my people didn't exist. And so I think I come to just appreciate it a lot more and actually celebrate it, not just being like, oh, it's Black History Month and that's just like a thing on a calendar or just like a thing to say, I guess, but to actually engage in some fashion of what you want Black History Month to look like. Be it you take the time to actually watch a movie, because I will immediately say those aren't like some movies aren't like the movies I gravitate to naturally, right? But actually taking the time to like, okay, let me learn a little bit more about what this person has done. What are they doing? What have they contributed to this world? And, what in some ways can I challenge myself and contribute? And that's why I wanted to use my platform to help share facts and information to others about that. So I think for me, it's about, again, just how do I contribute to Black History Month and how do I too feel celebrated in that, and even bring light to some things that I still feel are injustices that's being committed against us.
Absolutely. That was great. Great answer. Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, the month itself is celebrated, you know, within the nation or worldwide, but for me specifically, not just limiting that month, the month of February to Black History. I think we should celebrate at all times and just celebrate, champion as many people as possible who kind of paved the way for us or are currently fighting that fight right now. And you know, I think the biggest way we can celebrate for me personally is just you know, educating my kids and making sure they're aware of, you know, people who have kind of, like I said, paved the way for not in myself, but them going forward. So.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, I don't have any other questions down here, but so I guess what do you guys have exciting planned for the future? Quickly, rapid fire. Don't all speak at once.
For myself, I want to continue to obviously establish and further my career in real estate, but to also find a way that makes sense to still pour back and where I can further others around me as well too, and by helping as many people as I can, but to also establish myself more in my community. I am involved in things like our block club or my neighborhood and doing different things like that, but I just want to do a little bit more. So I really want to fine tune what that looks like for me, and put that into motion.
Anybody else want to jump in with last minute comments before I wrap it up here? Pretty good. All right. Well, thank you all very much for joining us this evening. It was wonderful to hear from all of you, and thank you, Marlenasia, and hello to the entire BSU for joining in as well. We've got all of the members of BSU actually joined in to watch this, so that's really awesome to have them joining us too. So thank you all very much. We look forward to continuing this series in March with some women in leadership positions, which also will be a wonderful conversation. I'll be sending out a quick survey at the end of this to everybody who joined us too. So make sure you keep your eye on your email. I'll also be choosing one person from tonight's attendees to win an alumni t-shirt. So keep your eye on your email. Like I said, follow us on social media and keep in touch with alumni. And I know that there was a question out there about this being everybody's first alumni event. So hopefully there are many more to come now that we're getting back into some in-person things, and should hopefully be visiting some areas in the near future too. So thank you all. Really appreciate your time, and have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thank you guys for coming.
And thanks for
you, guys.
having me.
Thanks, appreciate it.